And welcome back to the show. Well, just before that track, we promised you that we were going to come back and talk about a couple of things that are on at Movie World at the moment that Lee and I just saw as part of our Gold Coast experience that are about to end up so very, very soon. So if you want to go and see these at Movie World, you're going to have to get your skates on to go and see them. Now, the first thing that we saw was the Scooby-Doo 4D experience, which is ending very, very soon. And in fact, they are already starting to run kind of previews of the new one of Tom and Jerry 4D experience that is coming. But Lee, what did you think of the Scooby-Doo 4D experience?
Look, for me, it was a new show because previous to that, I think they'd had the same show for many...
A new show?
Yes, for many, many years. So it was good that, that it's rotated, that there's something else on. And I think this show also, all ages, for those of us that are a bit older, we can reconnect with our childhood and watching Scooby-Doo years ago. And for, the kids of today, they've...
And we now get some of the plot references that we didn't get as a kid.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously being 4D, with this one there was no splashes of water at all. No. I found. However, the movement of the chairs was quite often, and they kind of thumped down a fair bit. So you kind of, not that you would fall out your chair or anything like that. It wasn't, the movements aren't that great, but they certainly bump you around a bit and you have a bit of fun. And
which is why the staff really pushed the warning about if you've got back problems or anything beforehand, I'm guessing, with this one. So
yeah, and there was some lighting, some strobe lighting. Yep. So obviously they're caring for people and making sure that if anyone has any issues neurologically, that that might not be the ride for you. But again, the storyline was good for kids or adults, I thought.
Yeah. It was actually that new movie Scoob edited down into like a short film, basically. So yeah. Yeah.
So I would recommend it, but I think it's about to change over anyway, and so
Tom and Jerry are coming.
I can see, on their website, it's already starting to show now, Tom and Jerry 4D experience, so that actually draws me back. I would like to go again when that's out, because I think, a real key to these theme parks is to have something new so that when you go back, it's not just the same thing over and over. And so I think, even seeing that not long after we've left, there's already a new show coming, that actually makes me think, I want to go back next time because there's already new things coming in.
Yeah, and the other one that's ending up at the end of this month as well that we went and saw, and I'm glad I saw this because I've been wanting to see it for so long because of the fact that I am a huge Batman fan. But the WB showcase that is there at the moment is Batman Legacy. Now, what they've basically done is they've been able to bring together a collection of costumes and props from the Batman movies going right back to the Tim Burton films that, of course, were around when I was a child, right through the Christopher Nolan ones, right through to the modern-day Justice League Batman. Few people have actually asked me, is there anything from the Robert Pattinson Batman or the Joker? There is not, I have to say. There is the Joker from Jack Nicholson and, of course, Heath Ledger, but there is no Robert Pattinson Batman. So for the people that ask me that, no, there is not. And I'm guessing that's probably because that franchise is still going and they don't want to give away their secrets with their costumes and things like that. But this is an absolutely amazing collection that they've been able to put together. The costumes from all of the films. There's Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy. There's Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. There's the modern day Catwoman. There's Batman masks and costumes from Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck. They're all there. There is a whole... I'm trying to think which movie it was from, but there is an entire Batcave that's been recreated from one of the films, and I can't remember which one that was. It was the one with Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face. So, so that is there.
You've got things like Heath Ledger's nurse outfit.
Yes, there's Batmobiles.
Yes, the Batlight.
Yeah, one of the things I absolutely loved was from Batman Returns, and they had the actual... if you remember, Danny DeVito's Penguin came riding in a big rubber ducky. The big rubber ducky is there. So, there's some absolutely amazing things there.
Yeah, and then you've got Robin, Chris O'Connell's.
Yep.
Throwing Bird Collection. The metal.
I think one of the things that really stood out for me though were the costumes. How tiny some of the actresses must have been for their roles. Anne Hathaway's Catwoman costume is so tiny.
So tiny.
But also some of the actors that I expected to be bigger. So Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze costume is there. And I've always kind of imagined Arnie to be kind of this man mountain. And I was looking at the costume thinking, wow, he's actually a bit smaller than what I expected him to be. So, yeah.
You've got lots of masks as well, the bat masks.
Yeah.
From the different actors over the years, and some are really, you can see, really worn out or, older and wearing away a little, but just amazing to think that was on the face of a famous actor.
And some of them are a little bit worse for wear. Look like they've been through a few stunts. So
yeah, but some of them are in really, really good condition, and a lot of the costumes themselves are in brilliant condition, and you just, I think when I saw Heath Ledger's outfit, like there was a bit of sadness to know, that was his. He actually wore that, and he's no longer with us. So a little bit of
and they had two of his. They had his Joker outfit and his nurse's outfit.
And just to remember him and acknowledge the great actor that he was. But there's so much to look at, and so my advice is, when you see this, is to not rush through, but to look at the detail, even the blown up pictures on the wall of some of the scenes from the movies. But yeah, look at the detail and take in, who was wearing that costume, or when was that Batmobile used, and when you realise, the scenes that they were in, you're in a bit of awe from, if you're a massive Batman fan, yeah.
And it took me right back, because one of my earliest memories with my dad is going to see the Michael Keaton Batmobile when it came to Melbourne, when that movie first came out. And I remember we went to see it, and they let my dad and I climb into it and sit in it. So it was weird going back like some probably 35, 36 years later, and seeing the car that my dad and I sat in all those years earlier. But yeah, like Lee said with the masks, one of the interesting things I know from the Michael Keaton film was that they actually make various masks for Batman. So I know for Michael Keaton, his mask that he had on for his action sequences was a lot lighter than the mask when he was speaking, because when they're speaking they need to have the camera as a close-up, so it needs to be a very, very detailed mask, whereas when he's in a fight sequence he can't have a heavy mask on, or else he might hurt his neck or his back, so they make a much lighter mask. And then they also had to make a non-flammable mask for when he was doing the sequences around fire and stuff like that. So you get to see all of those masks there as well, which was pretty interesting. So it was interesting seeing those masks, because being a Batman fan, I've read up on how they make those masks and what the different masks mean over the years. So yeah, that was really interesting. But yeah, if you want to see Batman Legacy in the WB showcase at Movie World, you've got until the end of the month to be there before another exhibition comes in. So
so get there soon.
Yeah.
It's one of those exhibitions where you'll look back in years to come and be really glad that you saw it. Much as when I was younger, the Gremlins used to be there, and they used to have things from the sets, from the filmmaking, and I have amazing memories of that, and sometimes like, oh, I wish that would come back sometime. But this is the same kind of feeling that when you see this, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I saw this and I didn't miss out.
Yeah, definitely. As a Batman fan, I have to say this is an absolute must-see, because there won't be very many times in history or in the future where all of that exhibition comes together in that way, because all of those cars and props and costumes will go back to the various Warner Brother parks around the world once this is wrapped up. So be able to see them in the one room at the moment is just absolutely amazing. And if you're a DC fan or a Batman fan, you have to see this exhibition. It is a must-see. We'll be back in a moment, and stay tuned over the next few weeks, because we will be talking a lot more about our trip to the Gold Coast and talking a lot more about the things that we saw while we were there that you can go and experience as well. But we'll be back on the show in just a moment.